I've talked about anti-gravity earlier, but I just talked about it. I didn't actually show you. So today I'm going to show you a sample project that I'm using anti-gravity with. And first I want to point out that I'm a very big Android Studio / IntelliJ type person, so I've gotten so used to their IDE that I tend to like it. So it took a lot to try to go towards this Visual Studio app. I will say that one thing that made it easier is I found an extension that allows me to map my Android Studio key mappings to the same here, and that helped a lot. I will say on the point of extensions, if you look here, it uses the OpenVSX as a marketplace, and that may not be the same as what Visual Studio Code does. It seems like most of the extensions that I've used are in here, so but that's just something to be aware of. Again, if you're used to Visual Studio Code, this will all feel pretty normal. Over on the right here is our this is the name of my app. This is just a prompt here, and even though this is a small window, I've found that it works pretty well. Since anti-gravity still is a work in progress, there are times where I definitely have to either start a new chat or quit the app and restart, just because the AI gets a little wound up once you start using it a lot. So that's one thing I definitely would pay attention to. One thing I've found is that creating new apps went very smoothly. What really causes problems is when you've got a really hard bug and the first time, second time, third time it doesn't solve it. It tends to, sometimes if you get too far into it, it seems to repeat itself and try to do some of the same things, and that's, I think, mostly memory when it comes to the AI. But so far, I mean, I had if you're a Flutter developer, I had a dependency, just really awful thing that I couldn't figure out, and the AI managed to iterate through, figure out the right override for the problems with it. Because if you know the different some of these packages here, I've got RiverPod, Flutter, or Freeze, JSON annotation, and I updated to the latest Flutter, and that caused some conflicts. And so it figured out, and this is not in here, but it figured out in the overrides that it needed to use a very specific version of Analyzer, and that solved the problem. It was just, I did manage to upgrade my RiverPod to the latest version, as well as the Freeze and so forth, and it all works. So I would have had a very hard time doing that without AI, so that was very good. Again, I've used it to find bugs, so, or a lot of times I'll say, what haven't I implemented yet? And it will look through my code, tell me what I've implemented, and then I can say, hey, can you implement this feature? And it just does it. So you really become like a manager for a junior dev, and that's kind of what I think of the AI as, is a junior dev. You have to be very careful, watch what it's doing, and I always approve things before I let it go and do things. Sometimes it scared me. It started deleting some files, but it was just deleting the freeze files, so it was okay. But I'm a little nervous about that, because I check the changes they're making, make sure they don't get rid of code that I have that I want, because sometimes it sees code that it decides that, oh, it's not being used, but it is sometimes, so you have to be careful about that. So far, one of the things I just did this morning was I wanted to have some scrolling, so that when I scrolled my list up, my top section would go off the screen, and it managed to do that pretty well. So that was very nice. So far, I really enjoy this program. I've gotten used to Visual Studio Code. You can also go into a specific manager window here, and it shows you all the different conversations, and you can go back and forth. This to team sparring one, I used Antigravity completely for developing the whole thing, and within basically 2 days I had gotten the basics of it running, and I got a full-blown app out to the market in about a week. So that was pretty amazing. And it will go through, it will give you the tasks, what it's going to do, then after it does it, it will give you a walkthrough of what it did. I've also been updating Flutter for the latest iOS and Android versions, having it do that for me, so it's been really nice. So far, oh yeah, and the new version has increased quotas, which I was running out of tokens after a while. That seems to be a little bit better. But yeah, I've got a whole bunch of apps that I'm working on, and it's able to find bugs, add new features. It's really become a nice, definitely a tool, definitely assistant for helping me develop my apps.